Every NFL team brings its fair share of surprises, a once forgotten draft pick who becomes a fantasy football darling, a second-year player explodes into stardom, a guy who barely saw the field last season. Now he's a game changer. That's the beauty of football. Every team has that one player who's ready to make the leap. In this video, we're going team by team, all 32 to spotlight one potential breakout player for each squad heading into the 2025 NFL season. I'm not talking about established stars or household names. I'm talking about guys who are flying under the radar right now, but they won't be for long. Maybe it's a wide receiver ready to take over after a veteran departure. Maybe it's a young edge rusher who's been stacking highlights in the preseason camp, or maybe it's a rookie who's already turning heads in OTAs. Whether you're looking to get ahead in your fantasy draft, flex your football IQ, or just get hyped for the upcoming season, this is the video for you. So buckle up and let's get into the breakout player for every NFL team in 2025. We're going to start with Marvin Harrison Jr. in the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion, didn't really have a really bad rookie year, but there were a lot of people who were pretty disappointed by what he did last season, despite the fact he had 885 yards on 62 receptions and 8 touchdowns. Now, if you look at that, that's not a really bad season. However, a lot of people expected more out of Marvin Harrison Jr., especially considering what guys like Ladd McConkey, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. did. But a lot of people just look at the numbers and don't look at the context behind a lot of Marvin Harrison Jr. stats. In some of these games, Kyler Murray wasn't exactly playing all that perfect, and he overthrew Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot. Not to mention, the Cardinals also play an offense where they prioritize the run over passing most of the time. So obviously, your numbers aren't exactly going to be big in the receiving game if the run game is more of a priority than the passing game. Personally, what I think is the key for Marvin Harrison Jr. truly breaking out next season is they got to prioritize him more. Kyler Murray's got to look towards his way and actually get the pass to him. It's not about Marvin Harrison Jr. necessarily getting open. It's about him actually being able to catch the ball. And last year, he wasn't really able to do that. For the most part, I feel like a lot of people that saw Marvin Harrison Jr. in his stats last season just said, okay, he doesn't have over 1,000 yards, okay? He didn't do better than Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and Ladd McConkey. That's disappointing, and they didn't look at the context behind these stats. So I think, in my opinion, if all goes well, Marvin Harrison Jr., he will have over 1,000 yards next season. I think he'll be one of the better receivers in football pretty easily. It's just a matter of Kyler Murray can get the football to him. For the Atlanta Falcons, there was really only one player I could go with here, and that was Michael Penix Jr. Now, Penix in the games he played in down the stretch last season, pretty good. 775 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and it is important to note that a lot of these picks were not on him. They were because of his teammates and some bobbled passes. It was just all over the place. I remember one game against the Giants, Kyle Pitts caught the pass, and then for some reason, he passed it back, and it results in an interception. It was such a bizarre play, and it counted against Michael Penix, unfortunately. But all in all, we really saw flashes of what Michael Penix can do. His arm strength, he can stretch the field. Basically, some of the same things you saw him do at Washington, we saw him do at the Falcons in flashes last year. But I really think this is an ideal situation for Michael Penix. You have the running back and Bijan Robinson right next to you. You can hand the ball off to him. He can be used in the receiving game. And then you have guys like Drake London, obviously, who had a really good year last year. Darnell Mooney. And maybe, and that's a big maybe, with Kyle Pitts. So all in all, I really like the situation for Michael Penix moving forward. Moving right along, we have the Baltimore Ravens, and there was a number of guys I could have went with here. And I could have went with Nate Robinson, but I felt like it would have been too easy. So I went a bit lower here, and I went with their edge rusher, who played rotational last year for the most part, and that was Tavius Robinson. Now, he's already been getting a lot of buzz in training camp by Chuck Smith, who is the pass rusher head coach for the Baltimore Ravens, and they basically said he is the cornerstone of this edge rushing department. Now, as I said before, he was a rotational guy last year, but he still had 3.5 sacks and a total of 13 tackles. And if you watch him on film, he really has the ability to be a really good pass rusher, and he was also really solid on the run last year. And you also have to consider this. Kyle Van Noy, I think he's still a really good player despite his age, but he's also getting a lot older. And we all know the Ravens, they are not afraid to look towards the future. And I think we'll start to see Tavius Robinson get a lot more snaps in 2025 with Kyle Van Noy obviously not getting any younger. And honestly, if you really want to develop as a pass rusher, I really don't think there's a better team to be on right now than the Baltimore Ravens, who are really great at developing pass rushers for some reason. For the Buffalo Bills, we have their first overall pick in 2023, and that was tight end Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid was a bit disappointing in 2024. After a season with 73 receptions and 673 yards and 2 touchdowns, he dropped to 44 receptions for 448 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, it is important to note, he did deal with some injuries in 2024. Him and Keon Coleman will be two of Josh Allen's returning weapons in 2025, and I do believe we should see an increased volume of production for Dalton Kincaid in 2025. For the Carolina Panthers, I went a bit easy here, probably the easiest answer on here, Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young started off 2024 terribly. He got benched, came back, and he played a lot better, finishing with over 2,000 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. And the reason why I'm so optimistic about Bryce Young and why he's going to be so good in 2025, he's playing under Dave Canales, who was a big reason why Baker Mayfield had his bounce back year in 2023. And he's also having a good receiving core in Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette with a pretty good offensive line. I think last year towards the end of the season, we really saw what Bryce Young can do when he's at his best. He's good at maneuvering out of the pocket, he's accurate, and he has a really good deep ball. And I think now more than ever is his chance to prove that he has the receiving core now, he has the offensive line now, he also has a really good running back in Chuba Hubbard, who I forgot to mention too. And if the stars align in 2025, I think it's going to be a pretty big year out of Bryce Young because the NFC South isn't exactly all that competitive. The Buccaneers are good, but they're not a lock to win the NFC South in my opinion. The Saints are pretty much in a rebuild, and the Falcons, they're a really good team, but we really don't know what we're going to expect out of Michael Penix yet in my opinion. So I really think now more than ever, this is the year for Bryce Young to prove the haters wrong. For the Chicago Bears, it's not Caleb Williams, nor is it Rome Odunze. It's actually Javon Dexter. Dexter last year put up 4 sacks, 19 quarterback hits, and 39 pressures, which was 15th among D linemen in the NFL. So as a pass rusher, he probably already has it, one of the better D tackles in the league in that department. However, he does need to improve as a run blocker, and that's where I think Grady Jarrett comes into the picture, because Grady Jarrett is going to benefit Dexter gratefully in 2025. For a D tackle, Dexter already has the athleticism, the productivity as a pass rusher, and the next key is just unlocking his run defense. He's going to be a great player under Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator for the Bears now, who was previously under the Saints. And we all know Dennis Allen hosted some great defense during his time in New Orleans. And that's really why I believe so much in Dexter, and I think he will establish himself as a top defensive tackle in the NFL in 2025. For the Cincinnati Bengals, I went Joseph Ossai, and the reason I think he could pop off this season is because the Bengals are a mess on the edge right now. Trey Hendrickson is in limbo, and their first round pick, Shamar Stewart, hasn't even signed his contract yet. So the edge department is everywhere right now for the Bengals. But Ossai last season was solid. He had 5 sacks, 41 tackles, 31 pressures, and 2 forced fumbles. And I know he got drafted in 2020, so he's been in the league for a while now, and he hasn't done a ton of much until 2024. But I still think he's got some promise. He's athletic, he's got a good motor, and his potential as a pass rusher is still there. And I think being with Al Golden, who's already praised his motor in play, that's going to improve Ossai a lot in my opinion. I'm not saying he's going to replicate Trey Hendrickson, but I really believe in 2025, under that new coordinator, he could play it up to his potential. For the Cleveland Browns, there was really only one guy I could go with here, and that was Cedric Tillman last year for the Browns. He had a few games where he could show flashes of what he could do. He had a 2 TD performance versus the Ravens, and also a solid game versus the Chargers. And it really seemed like he was on track for a good year, then unfortunately he got concussed and he missed the final 6 games of the season. But I really like his fit next to Jerry Jeudy in that Browns receiving core. He's got good size, good body control, basically the polar opposite of Jerry Jeudy, but in a good way, obviously. And that's what makes him so good. That's what makes him so good for the Browns system, because he has such a good complement next to Jeudy. I think if he is healthy next season, and no matter who the quarterback is for the Browns, I think he will put up some solid numbers for this team. For the Dallas Cowboys, we are finally going to go on offensive lineman with the next one, and it is Cooper Beebe. Now, I liked Cooper Beebe a lot coming out of Kansas State last year in 2024. I wanted the Giants to get him, but unfortunately the Dallas Cowboys get him, and right now they're reaping the benefits. Beebe is really versatile. He can play the guard position, he can also play the tackle position, and overall as an offensive lineman last year, pretty good. He allowed 18 pressures, 3 sacks, and roughly a 2.6 pass rush win rate. Overall, as a pass blocker, he was pretty good, and as a run blocker, he was pretty good in that department too. But even as a rookie, he was performing like one of the better centers in the NFL. With him going through the rookie cycle in 2024, I think in 2025 he will definitely establish himself as one of the better centers or interior offensive linemen in the NFL. For the Denver Broncos, I went Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin in 2024 didn't exactly have a loud rookie season, but it's important to note he probably was playing wide receiver 3 most of the time. He caught 28 balls for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns. His biggest problem was unfortunately drops. There was a lot of plays where he got open, but when the ball came his way, he just flat out dropped it. He has the route running, he has the yards of the catch ability. He's a versatile receiver, but he just has to learn to catch. And the biggest thing about him that I like is that he has chemistry with Bo Nix, his Oregon teammate, and that's probably the best thing he has going for him in my opinion. Now, of course, he'll have some competition in that receiving core. You already got Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and then their newest signee, Pat Bryant, and also Devon Vele. But I think with his skill set, Troy Franklin easily has the ability to take over all these receivers in my opinion. For the Detroit Lions, I went guard Christian Mahogany. Mahogany didn't start much as a rookie last year, but when he did, he was pretty stellar. Was a really good pass blocker and also a really good run blocker. Now he'll be the starter this year with Kevin Zeitler being gone, which means all eyes are going to be on him in that guard position. And this is a really good spot for him. He's on a really good Lions offensive line that's surrounded by so many good players. And I think, honestly, this is probably the best situation for him. I was pretty disappointed when I saw him fall this far in the NFL draft in 2024, and I said whatever team gets him is going to get a steal, and I think the Lions are going to be fortunate enough to get that steal. Even though it's only his second year, I think Christian Mahogany has a huge chance to put himself as one of the best interior offensive linemen in the NFL. For the Green Bay Packers, I have Edgar and Cooper. Now, Edgar and Cooper was pretty good last year for the Packers. 3.5 sacks, 13 tackles for a loss, 4 passes defended, 1 interception, and also 1 forced fumble. He was one of the best linebackers in the league last year as a rookie in my opinion. While he did have a pretty good rookie year for the most part, there are some things he could improve in. He missed 16 tackles last year, which is obviously pretty bad. And as a pass coverage by linebacker, he wasn't all that bad. He allowed 27 for 37 as a passer, which is around 64.9% of passes, which isn't terrible and only 1 touchdown. So again, not terrible for a linebacker in my opinion. With a full offseason under his belt, it would not be shocking at all in 2025 if Edgar and Cooper plays on one of the best linebackers in the NFL. The Houston Texans, their breakout player is corner Kamari Lester. Lester had a really good year in 2024 as a rookie. He got 3 interceptions, 10 pass breakups, and he allowed a 45.6 completion percentage when targeted and a 69.1 passer rating allowed. He already showed in year 1 that he has efficient coverage skills, ball skills, and his physicality. And playing under D'Amico Ryans and a stellar front 7 is going to help Kamari Lester in his breakout year in 2025 be even stronger. Speaking of the Texans, we're now going to talk about their division rivals, the Indianapolis Colts, and their breakout player for me is Laiatu Latu. Latu had a pretty solid rookie year in 2024 as well. He put up 4 sacks, 32 tackles, 38 pressures, and 4 forced fumbles. Now, the run game is something he has to work on a bit, but as a pass rusher, he's already shown that he's disruptive, he can cause turnovers, and I would not be surprised in 2025 if he has a double-digit sack season. He's going to be playing under head coach Lou Romano. Lou Romano was a big reason why Trey Hendrickson was doing what he did. Trey Hendrickson had double-digit sack seasons every year he was there because he runs a pressure-heavy scheme. So that means Laiatu's going to be playing under that same scheme. And like I said, it would not be shocking if you see 10 sacks out of this dude in 2025. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have tight end Brenton Strange, who is going to have a nice gift coming to him for the 2025 season, and head coach Liam Cohen, who is an offensive-minded coach. And if you watch during his time with the Buccaneers, he utilized his tight end Cade Otton a lot, and I believe he will use Brenton Strange no differently in his Jaguars system. Strange already showed some flash in 2025 that he can be a really solid weapon for Trevor Lawrence. He had 40 receptions for 411 yards and 2 touchdowns. What's even better for Liam Cohen is that Brenton Strange is a lot more athletic than Cade Otton, which means he can utilize him in his offense in many more ways than he used Cade Otton in the Buccaneers offense. Even with the addition of Travis Hunter and already having Ryan Thomas Jr. there, I do believe Brenton Strange will still get a nice part of this offense this year. For the Kansas City Chiefs, I went safety Jaden Hicks. Jaden Hicks made 17 appearances, but only one start last year for the Chiefs, but he was still pretty good. 29 tackles, 5 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. In coverage, he was good. He allowed a 79.2 passer rating when targeted. As a run defender, also pretty good. He had a 2.7 missed tackle rate, which is the third lowest among qualified safeties. And those 3 interceptions and 5 pass breakups prove that he's an absolute baller on the playmaking side. He's on my personal list of breakout players solely because Steve Spagnuolo has developed so many defensive backs during his time with the Chiefs. Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, and you could even count Jaden Hicks now because of what he did in his rookie year. I think 2025 will be a year where Jaden Hicks already put himself on the map as one of the best safeties in the NFL. We got another back-to-back division rival here, and for the Las Vegas Raiders, we got Jackson Powers Johnson. Now JPJ didn't get a lot of national attention in 2024, but he quietly put together a strong rookie year while splitting time between guard and center. When he did get reps, he stood out, allowing just 2 sacks and a 2.4 pressure rate all year, posting one of the best run block grades among rookie linemen. And with Andre James now being out, JPJ is now locked in as the full-time center, his natural position. He's going to be entering 2025 as one of the most promising young interior linemen in the NFL and a potential anchor for the Raiders' rebuilding offensive line. And also, having a quarterback like Geno Smith should also make things easier for him. Sticking with the division rivals here, for the Chargers, let's go Junior Colson. Colson dealt with some injuries in his rookie year, but he still impressed big time as a tackler, having a 6.7 missed tackle rate. It's said that he's dropped a couple of pounds, and he's been moving a lot more better in training camp. And he wasn't great in coverage for the Chargers last year, had one of the worst coverage grades for a linebacker last year overall. Now, he was a great linebacker in coverage at Michigan, but I think the injuries over the season during his rookie year took a toll on him, and that's kind of why he didn't perform at the same level he did or should have. But I think if Colson stays healthy, he is primed to break out and bounce back, and I think he'll get better in coverage. And we saw what Deion Henley did with the Chargers in 2024. He's one of the better linebackers in the NFL now, and it would not be shocking to see Junior Colson take the next leap like Deion Henley did. Staying with Los Angeles, and we're now going to talk about the Rams, and my breakout player for them is Omar Speights. Omar Speights signed with the Rams as a 2024 undrafted free agent. He played in 17 games, starting 11 of them, and he played a total of 419 defensive snaps. He tallied 67 tackles, 23 stops, 4 pressures, and 2 pass deflections. As a run defender, he was an absolute beast, and his missed tackle rate among the lowest in the NFL. And his IQ and recognition skills are also a strong thing about him as well. He also has room to grow in pass coverage. He wasn't bad there, but there were a few games, like against the New Orleans Saints, where it clearly showed as a pass coverage linebacker. He can grow, but he's not terrible, but there still needs to be improvement there. He went from undrafted to dependable run stuffer by season's end. His instinctive play, few missed tackles, and physicality earned him starts and praise in a tough Rams defense. And with a bigger role in 2025, he is shaped up to be one of the most underrated breakout candidates at linebacker. For the Miami Dolphins, I have corner Storm Duck. And at this point, the Dolphins, they need a breakout player in this secondary. The secondary is pretty bad at this point. And Storm Duck, I do believe, is going to be the guy that has to take that step up for this secondary. Now, Storm Duck didn't really wow anybody in 2024, but he started in 14 games. He recorded 35 tackles and 4 passes defended. Now, I gotta be honest with you, as an undrafted free agent, you're not gonna get that much playing time unless that team believes in you a lot, and he got a lot of it in 14 games. He's gotten a ton of praise and hype during training camp. Even Tyreek Hill gave him some acknowledgement. And if this team wants to have success in 2025, Storm Duck honestly might be their X factor. And I do believe he can make that big step up. The Minnesota Vikings, I went with their 17th overall pick in 2024, and that was Dallas Turner. Turner played in a rotational role in 2024, tallying 20 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 pass deflection, and 1 interception in 12 pressures. Now, all things considered, that is not dominant, it's not great, but he showed flashes of potential and what he can do to this pass rush. He's going to have Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen right beside him on the pass rush line, and I think that's going to help him out tremendously, and this number should go up big time. For the New England Patriots, I went edge rusher Keon White. White had a solid rookie year in 2024, being the Patriots' best edge rusher. He finished the year for a total of 5 sacks, 32 pressures, and 2 forced fumbles. Kinda like Turner, he'll be playing on the defensive line with some great DTs and Christian Barmore, granted he stays healthy, and also Milton Williams. He's already a great pass rusher, and he's already a playmaker on the defensive end. However, his run defense has got to get better, and also he's got to be more consistent. He got out to a hot start in week 1, but after that, he didn't do much better. But under new head coach Mike Vrabel, I think Keon White has a really good chance of having a good year in 2025. For the New Orleans Saints, I promise you I didn't choose this guy because I love his name. I really think he can break out. It's Kool-Aid McKinstry. In 9 starts last year for Kool-Aid McKinstry, he tallied 42 tackles, 5 pass breakups, and allowed 33 receptions. He also allowed a 91.6 passer rating when targeted, which you have to include when he's a rookie. That's not bad. Again, if this was a veteran, I'd probably say, okay, that's not good. For a corner learning the NFL system and playing against NFL physicality receivers, that's not terrible in my opinion. Like, there are some games you can go back and watch and see that he has that potential. Like in week 2, he held CeeDee Lamb up pretty good in only his 2nd game of his NFL career. So he has already shown some abilities that he can be a really good shutdown corner, and he'll be looked at to be the corner 1 next year with Paulson Adebo and Marshall Lattimore being gone. So 2025 is going to be a big year for him. The New York Giants. Let's go Theo Johnson. Now during his rookie year, he was originally going to be the tight end 2 behind Dale Bellinger, but he eventually took over that job over the course of the season. In his final 5 games of the season, he had 18 catches, which is a huge jump from 11 catches in his first 7 games of the season. Altogether, he had 29 catches for 331 yards and 1 touchdown. With his rare size and speed, it's not hard to see why a lot of people are high on Theo Johnson. He's also going to have a way better quarterback at his disposal with Russell Wilson, so I think it's a huge benefit for him as well. And they're going to need somebody else outside Malik Neighbors to step up, and I really like what Theo Johnson can possibly do for him. For the New York Jets, we have Braylon Allen, and I was really high on him coming into the 2024 draft because he was so young and had so much potential, and I said he could compete for running back 1 position, and it seems to be happening. Now, Allen slowly got more snaps in 2024, and he was pretty good in that span. He rushed over 500 yards on 5.1 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. To go along with that, he is also a pretty good run blocker, better than Breece Hall, by the way. Now, even though he's probably going to be the running back 2 on this team, I like what he can do because the Jets brought in Tanner Engstrand, and he will probably run a system similar to the Lions, where the Lions use both David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. You can see both Breece Hall and Braylon Allen getting significant snaps and significant carries, so I still expect Allen to have some pretty big numbers, similar to what David Montgomery did for Jahmyr Gibbs, which I still think is pretty good, and I think regardless, he's going to have a big season for the Jets this year. For the Philadelphia Eagles, I went edge rusher Jalen Hunt, who's going to have some big shoes to fill with Brandon Graham retiring and Josh Sweat leaving in free agency. Hunt mostly played in a rotational role last year for the Eagles, playing in 16 games, telling 21 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles with a pass defended. He has been praised for his athleticism and also his playmaker instincts with those 2 forced fumbles and half a sack as a rookie. He's projected to be the starter for the Eagles in 2025, and I think it wouldn't be surprising to see this guy have around 7 to 10 sacks next season. He had a pretty good postseason where he had 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble, so I do believe that this guy is ready to start and get some full-time rotational roles. For the Steelers, I went with 3rd round pick in 2024, and that was Peyton Wilson. He started 4 games last year out of his 17 games played. He tallied 78 tackles, 3 for a loss, 4 pressures, 1 forced fumble, 2 pass deflections, and 1 interception. He had a missed tackle rate of 7%, and in coverage, he allowed just a 71.8 passer rating allowed. That was among the best among NFL linebackers. He's already one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL, even though he hasn't played a full season yet, and as a playmaker, he's already got that instinct. Now as a run defender, there's some improvement he needs to be made, but overall, he's not bad there either. And with Landon Roberts being gone, more than likely he will get the spot next to Patrick McQueen, which means he'll get a lot more production out of him in 2025. And with Patrick McQueen also being there, he's going to have a lot more room to grow. Do not be surprised if this guy ends up being one of the best linebackers in the NFL next year. For the 49ers, I'm going defensive back Renardo Green, who will have to replace All-Pro corner Charvarius Ward, who led the free agency this past year. Last year, Green tallied 61 tackles, 13 pass defended, an interception, and a forced fumble. He also had a 60% catch rate and an 88.2 passer rating when targeted. Early on, he has shown that he has sticky coverage skills, and he has the potential to be a really good playmaker for a defensive back as well. More than likely, he will be the corner one for the 49ers this year, and I think with a full offseason with first team reps and added muscle, he will be a great corner. He is personally one of my breakout players in my top 10 list that, like I said, I will work on. If you want to see that list, I will put it out. But he's one of the corners I have a lot of hope for, and I think will become a star in the NFL. For the Seattle Seahawks, I have Byron Murphy, who recorded 21 tackles last year, 1 sack, 21 pressures, and 17 stops. He also had 21 pressures, which is among the highest for rookie defensive tackles, and he's already shown that he's a really good pass rusher, and as a run defender, he's good there too. He'll have another year or two playing next to Mike McDonald, one of the best head coaches, defensive-minded head coaches in the NFL, along with Leonard Williams and now DeMarcus Lawrence. And I think in year 2, he could establish himself as one of the top defensive tackles in the NFL. For the Buccaneers, I went defensive back Tyke Smith. Smith played in 13 games last season, putting up 54 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles, and even 7 pressures. Also, when targeted, he allowed a 68.8 passer rating allowed. And this guy is versatile in so many ways. If you want this guy and go and rush the passer in a blitz, he can do that. This guy can play the nickel. He can play the safety. This guy is really good. He's an elite run defender. He's solid in pass coverage. This guy, in my opinion, might be one of my favorite players out of this whole list now that I think about it. Like, this guy is valuable in so many ways. He's a chess piece almost, impacting the game in coverage, run support, and blitzing. This guy is going to be good in 2025. Look out for him. For the Titans, I went with their 2024 first round pick, J.C. Latham. Now, Latham started off 17 games in 2024 at left tackle, but more than likely he will revert back to the right side of the line in 2025 with the signing of Dan Moore. It seems like this happens with every rookie tackle I look at. They start the season off pretty badly, but down the line, they improve down the stretch. And that's exactly what happened to J.C. Latham. Now, even though he did allow a lot of sacks in 2024, he was still pretty good as a pass protector, and also as a run blocker, he was solid there too. And he'll move back to the right side in 2025, which is going to do wonders for him, and I think that will be a seamless transition for him, and honestly. Now that he's protecting Cam Ward, I think you'll have a really good sophomore season. Finally, I have the Commanders, and my breakout player for them is second-year defensive back Mike Sainstro. The 17 games Sainstro played last season, he recorded 93 tackles, 14 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and also a forced fumble. He also had a 14% incompletion rate. He has excellent ball skills and holds up really well in run support. Now I wonder if he stays on the outside or moves back to the slot where he shined out in Michigan, and if he indeed moves back to the slot, which I think he will have a big sophomore year for Washington in 2025. He also played over 1,000 defensive snaps last season, by the way. That was more than any rookie corner in the NFL in 2024. I think he will end up becoming one of the more important players on this Washington defense. But anyways, that is going to wrap up today's video. If you agreed or disagreed with any of the players I talked about today, let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel and tap the bell icon for future football content. And follow me on all my social medias down below in the description. X, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that's down below in the description. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Nigga, what the fuck is he saying? You can ask his bitch and ask his bitch who the man. Lil' bro, them get the steppin' like parades about them bands. My lil' bitch Tinkerbell, cause I'm fly as Peter Pan. Yeah.